All right, y'all. Last year, we were pleased to welcome the game Super Crate Box to Fantastic Arcade, and we had a really great time at the panel with our guests who came back this year so graciously with a prototype version of their new game, Luftrausers. We're in for a real treat, and help me join me in welcoming Rami and JW to Fantastic Arcade. Yeah.
Hi, we're Vlambeer. I'm Rami. This is JW. I do the business and programming, and JW here does game design. And we're going to tell a bit about Luftrausers, our upcoming dogfighting game, which is also playable in the cabinets and on the computer. So if you feel like playing the game while we're talking about it, please just boot it up and have a quick go. So what we want to talk about is how Luftrausers came to be, how it started basically 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. And in general, just the ideas and thoughts and vision we have for the game. So we're gonna go way back. I need to have that video.
Oh yeah. Put your email on the big screen.
Put my email on the big screen.
So I've been making games since I was 11 pretty much. I'm not a very smart game designer, so I make mainly action games because then I don't need to think about it and I just throw lots of stuff on the screen. And this is an ancient game of mine that I made at a game jam in 3 hours, and it's called Air Hounds, and it's pretty much a dogfighting game with water and clouds, just like Luftrausers.
The video loads.
Oh, live streaming. Well, you can just use this as a screenshot, pretty much.
Okay.
So that's Air Hounds.
Where's the internet?
Oh, you can have this.
Oh.
And it was kind of weird because I didn't remember that I made Air Hounds until yesterday. And then I found a video of it, and it has like planes, and it also has falling crates. So somehow before Super Crate Box and Luftrausers, everything was already in place. And I think the old indie games blog is dead, so you can't download it anymore, and that sucks.
Come on. You can do it. Why is there Snoop Dogg to the right?
Because of my YouTube videos.
Oh yeah, true. Probably gun gods. So this exciting video.
It's a
shows
really
the
slow
gameplay.
game. It's turn-based. Right now, you're typing in commands to make the airplane do things. Yeah, we could just move on. Like, it shows an airplane, that's all. And
So
I have 2 comments. What are the comments? Oh, that's nice. 4 years ago. Good, so we know that.
So we do need to show Luftrausers.
And then I met Rami.
And then that happened.
Oh, you're going to try and stream a game?
Yeah. Whoa. Do I have Luftrausers somewhere?
So we founded Vlambeer, and then at one point we were jamming, and we decided to make a dogfighting game about blowing stuff up, and just we wanted it to have a feel like everybody is the best pilot in the world. Even if you don't play video games, you can just press a button and stuff will explode. And that's Luftrauser.
So this is a game we made in 2 days for just a game jam we did in house. We were kind of bored. We wanted to make a game, so we asked Paul Veer, who does our art usually, and Yukio, who was in our musician Kozilek, who happened to be in the Netherlands at that point. So we had 4 people together that could make a game. So we were like, well, let's just.
He wasn't in the Netherlands.
Was he? Yeah,
No,
he was.
that was Yeti Hunter.
Oh, that was Yeti Hunter. Okay, so anyway, we asked Yukio to help us out with this one, and we decided to make this game for some reason. And it's a game in which you... Let me just make this a bit bigger for you guys. In which you fly around.
And blow things up.
So if you guys had seen the video just now of Airhounds, it is pretty similar.
Yeah, except the main difference here is that Luftrauser is all based around some kind of falling mechanic. If you're not boosting, you can spin your plane around and still keep your momentum and like boost somewhere quickly, turn around and shoot stuff behind you and do loopings and the other mechanic is pretty much that if you're not shooting, you repair, so you're not getting tired fingers. Unless you're really good, like Rami, who's really good at video games.
Hey, I won the Spelunky tournament yesterday, dude.
Well done. That's Luftrauser, and at one point we were sitting in a restaurant, I think, and just decided to think about what are we going to do next, which was during Gun Gods, which was almost finished. And
so with let's just go back a bit before we go there.
yeah, that's a good idea.
So when we made Luftrauser, this was made in a 2-day. Here, you play while I'll talk. Oh, you suck, Jesus. Anyway, we made this game in 2 days, and then we suddenly had a game that was pretty nice to play. We were really happy with how this game turned out. So what we did is we decided to try and sell it. It's a Flash game, which means you can sell it to Flash game portals, and that's some, quick money, easy. We could go on a holiday from that. So we were like, well, let's just, try it. So we tried to sell it, and we sent it to a whole bunch of Flash publishers and Flash game portals. And then what happened is, basically, they said this game was too extreme for their taste. They didn't like that it only had a few colors. They didn't like the sort of music in the background. They thought it was inaccessible, and what else did they say? They thought it was pretty shit. So so we couldn't sell it. We tried for a few weeks, and at some point we decided that it was not worth the time to try and sell it. So what we did instead is we released it for free on our website. And people could just play the game. And then, quite surprisingly, it really took off. Like, Luftrauser is probably one of our most played games if you just look at the amount of plays it has. In Flash games, it's pretty common to build in some sort of way to see how many people play the game. So we did that when we developed it and when we were trying to sell it. And Luftrauser has a tremendous amount of just people playing it, and even if you look on Twitter, like nowadays, there are probably still dozens of people talking about playing this game we released for free more than a year ago by now. So life took over. We had to handle some stuff with ridiculous fishing, and we ended up making Gun Gods for Venus Patrol. I think we worked on Serious Sam the Random Encounter as well. So basically, life took over. We had a lot of stuff to do. We made a dozen of games. Well done, sir. We made a dozen of games, and then when Gun Gods was done, we were kind of bored because we were only working on 3 projects at once, which is like way below our threshold.
That's when you can still be a healthy human being.
Yeah, 3 is like the tipping point of being healthy and happy to making lots of games.
Yeah.
So we needed a 4th project so we could feel miserable and shit. We started Luftrausers.
Yeah, and the whole idea with this game, I came from just us saying to every question in development, World War II Thunderbirds. So we had this really kind of strict rule where if Paul said, hey man, should this boat look? We said, hey, World War II Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
Which was how everything was made, which is actually really nice in the game jam to actually have a boat when you're making a boat and not just some random square.
Like having that short World War II Thunderbirds sort of line enabled us to make a lot of decisions just by replying that as answer to everything. It's really
Rami,
easy.
do you want something for dinner? World War II Thunderbirds. It was pretty weird. So then we decided to just see what would happen if we went on with that, which is why we are here now, pretty much.
Yep. Let me switch over there for a second. So we decided to do Luftrausers, which is for some reason pluralized.
We will come to that later.
Yes. And this is the very first thing we made.
Yeah, 3D airplanes.
Um,
Kind of. That was the whole trick. Like, it scales the wings independently of the body, so it looks like it's 3D.
So these are basically two images that rotate to give you a sense of 3D. The whole game is actually 2D. This was the very first test we did for Luftrausers.
Can you press buttons?
Yeah, I can press buttons, but they don't do anything.
That's
See?
boring.
So this wasn't very exciting, but it was nice to see that it worked.
Yeah, and then we got to the first version, which is pretty much like the original in a larger resolution, and it shows how weird the development process of this game was. Like, there are already effects everywhere and explosions and gameplay, which is not how games are usually made, I think. But somehow we went with that, which is super weird, but I think this game is one of the best examples of the first 1% of your time is 99% of the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luftrauser is, in a large part, is about the feeling of just being the most powerful fighter pilot in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm just playing with these airplanes here.
Shoot them.
Oh, shoot them. Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
So,
So yeah.
There are already a lot of effects here. You see, if I fly over the water, there's like the splashing water behind the airplane.
And one of the main features we wanted in the new one is like when you boost above the water, the water like gets a little burst thing. Do it.
Whoa.
And wow. So that was already in the very first build, which was weird because the first a large amount of time was, oh man, the planes duplicate. That's fun. So a large amount of time was spent just making the original but better, which is not that fun when you're making video games. But this is.
So for those wondering why I suddenly became so good at this game, you can't actually die in this build.
Really?
So.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Just try it.
No, I've just been hit by a gazillion bullets, dude.
You're just really good, man.
Oh yeah, that's it. So anyway,
Good score too.
yeah, no, it's 660, 670, 680. Oh, wow.
Yeah, let's move on in time. Or do
Yeah.
you want to show the design documents?
We could show the design or the pitch.
Oh, the pitch. Yeah. So with this game, the original idea was to release it as a Flash game.
So we wanted to do the same thing again, right? Wanted to make Luftrausers as a Flash game and sell that. And now we'd have the numbers from the previous game to show them like, hey guys, we made this game, you didn't buy it, and you fucked up because like millions of people played this game.
Yeah.
Would have been a good buy, but you know, your guys fucked up.
Yeah. I hope there is nothing horrible on that image.
I hope so either.
Yeah, that's the original pitch document. I don't know. We have a kind of a history of really enjoying making pitches.
Yeah.
Like the Dinosaur Zookeeper pitch. Can you just get that one?
I can find
That's
that.
my favorite. Yeah. But like the basic idea was we have this idea for a game, and now we're gonna make it better. And everybody who didn't buy it missed millions of players. This is live action internet.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
what's
it
that?
is.
Yeah, this is how we actually managed to successfully pitch Dinosaur Zookeeper to Adult Swim. That's the cool thing about dinosaurs. You have this children's book with really cool detailed pencil drawings, and I think that's like one of the main reasons people actually like dinosaurs.
We actually sold this one, which was surprising.
All right.
Let's see, where were we? Oh yeah, here, the pitch. This was a really good pitch. It was based on our 2010 smash hit, and we might have exaggerated the play number in the top right a bit. A tiny bit. Basically this pitch says absolutely nothing, I think.
Well, it says the only game ever where you get to build and pilot your very own Luftrauser.
That's true.
Oh, and that's my favorite part. Like, it says customize your rouser, over 255 possible build. It took us both, I think about 4 months to realize that 5 times 5 times 5 wasn't 255.
We kind of screwed up there.
So the new idea with this game was you don't fly as one plane, but you can actually customize your weapon, your body, and your engine, and that will give you like millions of combinations because there are 5 of each.
So then we actually became a bit serious about the pitch. So we made this. We have crazy ass challenges in this game.
Yeah, that's the cool part. We actually had artists on this project right from the start.
So we could actually do a good pitch. And then it slowly started to evolve into a serious sort of idea.
Yeah, and one of the new things we wanted to introduce is like kind of Thunderbird style characters who move you through the menus and like do the mission, debriefing stuff and all that.
It is interesting
Can you make
how
it bigger?
during all the pitches the water has remained one of our core features. The game has realistic water effects, as you can see in the lower left.
Yeah.
That is actually one of the main things about the feel of the game, I think. Just lots of effects everywhere. No, zoom out. Right. So this is what we've been pitching to Flash game websites at that point. And that was going pretty well. But then we talked to the Devolver guys.
Those
somewhere there in the corner.
Those dudes.
And then we decided not to do a Flash game, but actually a PC game with the Devolver guys. So then we moved on a bit. JW started sketching more design stuff.
Yeah. The worst part about game design on paper is that what you draw will end up in the game. Like, there's no question about it. And that's not intentional, but I still have an old drawing for Super Crate Box with like just drawings of weapons with no text or description, and those are all in the game, and it's really creepy. Yeah, those are all the weapons we got pretty much, except for that one because I used the wrong pen.
Is this readable at all? No? No, I have that same problem when I try to read his books.
That's how you make video games.
It's it talks about the 5 weapons in the game: the machine gun, the laser, the spread, the homing missiles, and the cannon, which was back then called the plasma cannon.
And well, you can read it. See?
It takes some effort. And then on the right it has the bodies. You don't actually have the engines here. Maybe that's on the next
that's
image.
on the other
the
page.
next image.
Yeah, and we're also introducing missions, which is kind of cool because we're taking this kind of, if I can say, traditional casual game thing and putting it in a pretty hardcore game that, well, it looks and feels hardcore, but it's pretty easy to play. So basically we're giving players small goals to do during a game, like kill 5 boats without boosting or whatever.
Anyway, we agreed upon that the airplane should be customizable, that they should exist out of 3 parts: body, engine, and wings, and that we would have missions. You see all these are actually one of my favorite things about JW's designs.
It's a boat.
Little
Rami loves the boats in my game design.
little drawings like these are usually a really good indication of what the game actually will feel like, which is interesting. This is one of the things that if you're playing it in one of the computers right now, diving at a boat and shooting it to the bottom of the ocean, it's probably one of the things you will be doing a lot of times. And those are always there with like sort of a little drawing. Anyway, so let's go further. We started developing a bit more, started to actually try and push this somewhere. At this point, we had pretty much decided that we were
Is this working?
that we were actually going to push through with Luftrausers because, you know, our normal sort of workflow is we make a little thingy and we see if it's fun to play around with, and if it's still fun to play around with after like 2 or 3 days, we work on it a bit more, and if it's still fun to play with, like still fun to make, like 2 weeks later, we turn it into a real project, whether that's a good idea or not.
As you can see in this build, there are already some of the different builds in there. He's playing with like an armored super boost cannon plane, and there's screen shake, which is the main ingredient to successful action games. That's not funny. It's true. Yeah.
Oh. So in this build, this is the first build in which we were trying out the different airplane combinations. So while previous game I was playing... Thanks, dude.
And we have gamepad support, which is fun because I can mess up Rami's game.
I'm trying to play a video game here. Dude.
This is more fun.
So, this is the first build in which we had different airplanes, so we could try around a bit. And the first thing we noticed is that it was going to be a total disaster to balance all of these.
And it still is.
5 times 5 times 5 didn't turn out to be 255, but it sure is a lot of airplanes. This airplane here is a melee build, which means I can fly through enemies, and it has homing missiles, and it has a gungeon. This is one of the builds that was horribly overpowered.
It still is.
It still is horribly overpowered. We're working on that.
Alright, kill the boat.
Okay, I died.
Alright.
So this was a few builds later. So at this point we had a random airplane per time you played, and that was a pretty good idea because we ended up playing most of the airplanes a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, this one is cool. Shall we show this one?
Is this a nuke?
Yeah.
This is probably one of the least useful gameplay-wise things because you take way more damage, but it's one of like the most iconic things in Luftrausers.
Yep.
Yeah, just die.
So if I die with this build,
I can help you die. So that's the animation we got from Paul, and it looks kind of weak in this build, but we'll show you some more.
We'll show you how that evolved as well. Anyway, if you look at this build, you'll notice that there is a lot of stuff in there, but if you're playing the game on the computers or if you have played the new build already, you notice that it might not feel, like if you look at the screen, there's a lot of the feel that goes into the final game that isn't quite there. One of the things that JW mentioned just now was indeed the screen shake isn't done. Oh shit, I did play. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, next build, version 7. This is
That's when we changed the icon to a stack of money instead of just the default game maker thing. Oh, and now it actually shows what builds you're playing with.
Yeah, we also added clouds in the background. One of the main problems with the game was that in the original Luftrauser, which we showed before the Flash game, you had these giant clouds all the time telling you what your speed was and what your momentum was, and you know, everything felt faster because those clouds were there. And in this build, the clouds aren't like in the foreground. They're not.
And the spawn code is horrible, but
so
we added these to give the game some depth and a lot of more sense of motion.
Those little clouds in the background are actually what makes the airplane feel like an airplane, I think.
Pretty much, and it has wings.
Oh yeah, that helps.
So this is bombs with a zero gravity engine and just a machine gun.
So if you...
Oh, and yeah, there's a really important change in the gameplay that we made at this point. Because the gameplay was fun, like the micro just shooting stuff, not dying was fun, but all the times where you weren't really at risk were less fun. So what we added here is a combo system, which is kind of interesting for such a minimalist game, but basically the way it works, you just get a multiplier for every kill you make within the combo time, and that way you can get insane scores, and the game is way more tense now because like it will be, oh man, my combo's running out, can I just crash into that boat? And then you find out that you didn't have enough health to crash into a boat and you die, which is what good games are about. Yeah, and like we're not the only ones here today to admit Spelunky was a big influence, which is pretty weird in a game like this, but it just felt like the game needed some more long-term goals as well, because there's a legendary blimp enemy. It's not here right now in this build, I think.
Nope, not yet.
But Rami will try to get to it later. And like once I programmed that, I sat on my couch with my laptop in front of me, controller in hand, and sat there for 3 hours trying to kill a blimp. And then I went to bed because I couldn't kill it. And since, I don't know, maybe 10 people took one down.
Yep. So this is pretty much this build. We're actually introducing the first new enemy from Luftrausers in this build, the Aces.
Yeah.
Aces, the old Luftrauser, for those who haven't played it, had 4 types of enemies. You had the normal airplanes, which are the little things that are flying around me right now. Those. Then you had the fighter jets, which were really fast sort of, fighter
a
jets.
submarine there as well.
We see here, that's a fighter jet right there. The line behind it indicates it's a fighter jet. It's a really fast enemy that will try to sort of hit you on its flight path. We had boats, the small ones, those boats.
Don't
the one,
die.
yeah.
And the big boats.
And then we had the big boats. Those were all the enemy types in Luftrausers, and those were enough.
So the idea with this ace was that the enemy also played the original Luftrauser, and they thought, hey, that game is that plane is pretty powerful, and they tried to make like a cheap rip-off of it. So those are the aces you're fighting, and this build they don't have really interesting behavior lab, but later on we gave them the same like kind of controls as the player, so they actually turn off their engine and fall and turn around and try to shoot you.
Yeah. One of the ideas with the aces was also pacing related. At some point in the game, if you keep playing a game like this, right, it gets a bit overwhelming. You just keep going, and all the time you're like at the highest intensity, trying to cling on to your life while shooting stuff. So we wanted to add something that would pace that a bit and give you a moment of breathing every now and then, but still feel like a really intense moment. So what the aces actually do is they scare away
the smaller planes.
The smaller enemies.
So you get like a ring of planes that you and the ace are in the middle of fighting each other, and they're all watching, and it's like one of those balls.
So here are the aces. If you look closely, there are no other airplanes in the screen, so it's just me against them. And if I survive this, the other airplanes will join.
Yeah, and you get mobbed by a gang of airplanes.
Yep.
Which is cool. Wow, there are a lot of aces. So
Yeah.
the spawn code wasn't that
Ouch.
interesting.
Anyway, the aces are pretty dangerous. They're sort of a nice, formidable foe to fight with. Shall we move to this one, or shall we skip this
Let's do
one? 10, not 9?
No, do 10.
10.
I think.
Okay.
Also, you notice in the last build that we introduced the submarine.
Where did my fucking...
And
clouds.
the main thing in this build
I think the height of the clouds,
is like all the tiny little effect details we put in. Like clouds actually give you a trail of cloud for a few seconds once you fly out of them, and like stupid stuff like that nobody will ever notice, but it makes your game feel good. And also, if you fly into the water, that's probably my favorite effect. Like it leaves a tiny. You got.
I don't think you can see it, but if you fly out of the water, there's actually little
A tiny like
drips of
sparkling
water
drips falling out,
falling from your airplane.
which makes no sense. And also to the splashes, we added those tiny drips. I think if you shoot into the water,
I can shoot in the
they're
water.
just white pixels. Really?
I think so. Oh, fuck, out of screen. Let me try again. I can do this.
And you don't really notice it, but it feels good.
I don't think you could see that on the projector.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you play it on the computers or the arcade, you can.
Should we talk about the camera and the
Yeah, I
screen
think
shake stuff?
the camera is really important.
So I spend more time on the camera and screen shake of this game than on the original Luftrauser, like probably 5 times more. There are some really stupid things in there that I think should like pick up, and everybody who hears it now should put it in their games. Like the screen shake in this game isn't just random shaking. It actually favors the nearest explosion. And when I put that in, it, like you barely notice it, but you just show the player a tiny bit more of the action, and that feels really good. Like if you make an action game with screen shake, like try putting that in, because it's really useful, I think. And also there's a really dumb effect. When you shoot, all the clouds move away from the nearest explosion, and you get this kind of super cheap HDR bloom crappy effect, but it's just one color. Like you barely notice it, but it looks pretty cool. Like everything gets pushed away. Also, the camera. Does this one have those gravity points?
I think so.
Like you notice the player's not in the middle of the screen at all. Camera
Yeah,
actually
yes.
moves like a bit more towards the water when you're near the water. So when you're flying from really high, and you go down, you get like a feel to when the water will start happening, so you just don't race fully into it. So now you got the camera like softens the movement a bit, and also all the enemies nearby you have and bullets have some kind of gravity point, and the camera favors that as well. So if there are a lot of enemies coming from behind, the camera will shift to behind, and you will know like, all right, I'm about to die.
So basically what the camera does, to sort of explain what JW just said, it will try and show you where danger is coming from. So every enemy and every bullet has a sort of value of how dangerous it is.
Nope.
And then, well, basically that's how it works.
They're all super dangerous. Oh, that's the new nuke, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It looks a bit better.
The camera will try to show you where danger is coming from, which is really important because, for example, the fighter jets would end up like one hit killing you in the earlier builds. They would just fly in, fly through you, and you'd be out. And that doesn't feel nice because it wasn't really your fault. So now when there is a fighter jet incoming, the camera will actually notify you of the danger, like a moment before it actually happens. It's really subtle, but
no, you don't really notice it, but it's a feel thing. Like feeling like or feel for the player is one of the most absurd, abstract things that you have to work with in a concrete way as a game designer. But if you spend a lot of time on that, it's always worth it.
So I think this was this build.
Yeah, I get. Oh, and also with the clouds in the back, we actually added an extra shade to our color palette.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a blimp, man.
Shall we show that yet?
You think you can take it out? This is probably a good build. Oh wait, you cheated to get to the blimp. Just get to the blimp, kill him.
I'm not gonna kill it.
That was a blimp. Rami got killed by a blimp. So that's cool. Like, I think it's nice that players will, like, probably the first time they encounter a blimp, they won't even see it and die by an unusual bullet pattern. And they're like, hey, I never saw that before. And then they're dead. And then the second time you might get a glimpse of it. And then the third time he will just destroy you every time until you finally kill him.
Yeah. So this was the build we did for PAX 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. When was it? A while ago.
It has a logo, which is really bad.
Not too much change here. We started working on the interface a bit. That's usually not something that we start with. It's more of a sort of, we need an interface.
Yeah, what do you call like the opposite of looking forward to? That's what I have with interface. And that's up next in this project, so that's not going to be nice.
This was the build in which we started to realize that if other people were to play our game, the combo system is not obvious at all.
Yeah.
And we needed a lot of people to play this over at PAX, so we kind of had to fix that in 3 days or something. So this build actually shows the combo in the top right, and it shows you the amount of points you earned this combo. The combo system is really simple. You try and kill enemies before the combo starts blinking and you lose it. And the interesting part about that is that it is also sort of a way to skip the easier part of the game. If you get better at the game.
Yeah, the difficulty progresses over time slowly and rapidly if you kill enemies. And I think even a bit more rapid if you do combos.
So it's an easy way to get further into the game if you don't want to play the boring part. Oh, I'm horrible with this one.
Just die and show the nuke again.
What?
Just die.
Do I have a nuke on me?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
We changed those graphics actually because right now they don't read well. Die.
I don't see the nuke, man.
I think you have a nuke.
Oh, you were right.
So we added splashes to the nuke as well. And that was cool about Paul. I think there were 5 times we asked him to make bigger splashes, and every time he's like, "No, man, that's crazy." And I think in the next build we're also putting a splash that will actually be higher than the screen.
Yeah, we should. Anyway.
Oh yeah, and that was one of those characters.
I'll show that. Yeah. So we've just started, like right before Fantastic Arcade, we started implementing the missions, which will also be an important part. Like we said, we don't really like doing interfaces all that much. So the interface for the mission is actually right there at the top. It says 0 out of 3, and you have no clue what the 0 out of 3 means.
We are working on that.
We will fix that.
Because I'm like, what is the mission right now?
The mission is to kill 3 boats in one combo.
Oh, that's one.
So I have to kill boats, without dying, but also without dropping my combo.
Yeah, eventually the missions will be used for unlocking new parts, and it's all kind of a pacing thing, where the short-term gameplay is all about the combo, then the medium term is about your score, and the long term is about getting those new parts through missions. Did you die?
Yeah, I did.
My favorite animation is that guy's eye.
So this is also the first, well, it's not the first build, it's the second build, but I forgot to show you in the previous build. This is the first time we have one of the characters in the game. We mentioned the characters earlier, that we wanted sort of a Thunderbird style to them, but we kind of dropped that somewhere halfway.
It is kind of Thunderbirds.
It's kind of Thunderbirds, but at first we wanted like cables to their arms and have them like be puppets and stuff.
Yeah.
And that just didn't really work.
Can you show some of the menu mock-ups and stuff?
I could.
So most of the interface will take place inside the submarine, where there's like a debriefing room and a scientist, and you put together your airplane and all that. So that's like mock-ups for the characters.
These are mock-ups.
Way too scary.
So an engineer, lady,
Scary
person,
lady.
general. Some ideas for the enemies. On the left you have the enemies from the original Luftrauser, so from the first Flash game. Then on the right you have them revisited. And then these aren't actually the last one. You can see that we actually added a few enemy types, like the third one from the top isn't actually in the game anymore, and the one above, the giant blimp, isn't in the game anymore.
Yeah.
Those just didn't really work out. We replaced the static enemies, the oil field, with a submarine later in the game. If you look at the game...
Yeah, just play version 12. It's newer than the mission one.
If you play version 12, you actually, if you play the game at all...
the submarines are inspired by like the UFO and Space Invaders. They're only on the screen for a short amount of time, and you get a lot of score for them.
Yeah, the design idea behind them was that a lot of enemies are basically dangers that come at you in sort of a straight line. So basically we're just dodging lines a lot of the time.
Which is good, but it needed some more urgence as well. So we added some super dangerous, different homing missiles, which are launched by the submarine.
So hopefully I can get a submarine to show up.
What's that one? No.
I don't think so. Who put
See,
that
there
bug?
the camera saved Rami from being killed by jets, I think. What are you doing, man?
Trying to find a submarine, dude.
You should stop firing. Oh, that's a blimp.
Oh, shall I fly to the blimp? Oh, fuck, never mind. Oops.
I think it makes more sense to stay in one place.
Oh, here,
Okay,
there's a
one.
submarine. So the
Alright.
submarine fires homing missiles that follow you, and they have a lot of health.
They can
But-
pretty much instant kill you. So
But-
now he's too late to kill the submarine, which would have given him a lot of points. Whoa, do they actually still spawn missiles when they go underwater?
Yeah, they do.
Let's fix that.
Yeah, we probably should.
So that's game development there. Live
Fla-
game development. I think the blimp is also firing missiles at you. now.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff firing missiles at me.
Back to the interface stuff.
Yeah. Let's just go back to the image. So we killed the oil platforms and changed it for submarines.
And that blimp was way too tiny. Like the new blimp is I think it's almost as big as the screen.
Yeah, almost. Let's see. Well, this is what mock-ups look like. Vlambeer. It's really interesting.
That was just trying to get the colors. We're going to add little enemies in the background. So when an ace appears, then first you will see like a carrier in the background slowly parallax by and launch the ace. Things like that. And also once you get to the certain difficulties, you will see those enemies in the background. So you know, like, all right, I could expect a submarine or a blimp
So
right now.
I think we have like 13 minutes left. Shall we go into the HUD or the cutscenes?
The menus quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, show some of the like the score ideas.
So over the course of the game, we've been working a lot on like getting the sort of
Yeah, the
after game part through.
idea is that all the debriefings are like PowerPoint style presentations where a screen comes down the screen and the
Yeah.
character pops up and like everything is printed on the.
So
That shows that Vlambeer can also make crappy art. Yeah, and some like customization ideas.
Yeah, so in the final build of the game, you won't be playing with random airplanes, right? You'll be able to build your own airplane. These are some mock-ups for how you would actually do that.
And one of the funnest parts about developing this game is that we hand-named every single combination, all 255 of them.
Not
No, kidding. And we just got a bottle of weird Finnish liquor and sat down and wrote down all the names. So some of them are named off the reels right now. We need to change that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It will look somewhat like this, but with maybe a bit more like detailed submarine background stuff.
This was actually one of our very first ideas, in which you would have the submarine from which you launch as like sort of the overarching menu. That didn't work at all.
Yeah. Everything needs to be super fast. Like you press a button and play again.
So we dropped this in favor of having menus. Actually, one of the interesting things we've completely missed that is that if you build your airplane, like there are.
The music.
Exactly.
Yeah, play some
for
music.
every airplane you get, you build, you'll have a different soundtrack to it.
Yeah.
So the music is built up from out of 3 layers, which correspond to the 3 parts of the airplane.
Your weapon is like the lead layer. The base is your engine, and the drums are your body. And it also corresponds in game. We're not completely sure to what degree we are keeping this, but like when you're firing, the lead layer will actually go up in volume 10%, and also when you're boosting, the bass goes up, and when you get hit, like the drums sort of knock out for a sec. What are you doing?
I suck at media player. Okay, so let's just this is the default Luftrausers song, but then for Luftrausers, so it's the original song from the original Flash game, redone.
Should we do a cappella?
You can do an acapella if you want. Okay, you can do an acapella.
Right, just do the second one.
Let's just keep this one going for a while.
Show some cutscene.
So this is what you will hear if you play with the original Luftrauser, which is conveniently called the original. If you change 1 or 2 parts on that airplane, for example, you add a laser and the gungeon, you end up with this.
I think that's all laser. Oh wait, no, that's like laser with
Hover.
0 gravity and melee or something. I don't know.
So the structure of the song is pretty much the same, but if you listen, it's definitely a different song.
This is one of my favorites, like the laser. Beep, beep, beep. Should we just leave the music playing and show some cutscene mock-ups?
We can do that.
Do the third one. Go for it.
I really like this part, by the way, just saying. Okay, so the third one is if you get a really nasty airplane. It basically has the gungeon, I think,
And the cannon.
and the cannon. So this is basically just a thing that destroys everything around you. And when we told our musician, Cozy Lag, to do something really nasty, he kind of did deliver. Shall we put this a bit louder?
I think everything he makes is really nasty.
That's true. Here we
This
go.
is Oh man, don't do that. Do that.
So, we also have a whole bunch of cutscenes that will happen throughout the game a bit. This is the arrival cutscene. It's the opening cutscene. People are looking at a sort of radar screen, and they get kind of scared and get the hell out of there.
It's just parallax images with stuff moving at
It's
different
sort of
speeds.
old school, sort of like the elements shift, but they don't really move. It's a really cool effect. We don't actually have any finished cutscene here.
Yeah,
It's just shown.
show some more stuff.
So this is right at the start of the game. And
The
then you unlock your first part, which is conveniently delivered in a Super Crate box crate. Including Evil Scientist, because Luftrausers.
No, he's a very nice scientist.
He's a really cool guy with 2 kids and a puppy. I don't need to do that. So sinking boat, you also sink a boat.
Sinking
This is
people.
actually pretty grim.
Yeah,
And I hadn't quite noticed the floating bodies yet.
they should actually move up. That would be better. Like nice bubbles. And yeah, you just unlock those cutscenes at certain points.
Did y'all mention who made the music?
What?
Who made the music?
Kozilek. He also did the music for our Venus Patrol game Gun Gods and for Yeti Hunter, which we showcased last year.
He's awesome. Oh, dude, play his Super Crate Box remix. I think we have just enough time left. Just
That's completely non-related to the
yeah,
game.
but it's really good. Let's do it.
Okay. So we've got 5 minutes left on stage, so we're just going to
Yeah,
do
then
something we really want to
Should
do.
we just do questions, or are we going to...
Okay, and we can do questions in the meanwhile.
Let's make up a great conclusion for now.
Okay, you make up a game conclusion, I play the song.
So, I once learned from Cactus that the best way to make action games is by making your explosions bigger, and that's the most important game design lesson I've had in my life. Thank you, Cactus.
You mentioned that you're hooked up with Devolver for the release of this. What can you tell us in terms of timeline? When will this be out?
So we really want it done this year, and that, like in publishing terms, that means before Christmas happens, because then everything will go crazy. So hopefully November.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. If you have
The
a question,
the
please raise your
politically correct
hand,
answer would have
and
been
we'll get this
when it's
microphone
done.
to you. Any questions for Vlambeer?
No, it's more
Yes, sir.
political to
There's a
change.
question right here.
Hi guys, just curious what you said you had a lot of concurrent projects going. I was just wondering, can you talk about any of those, or just curious about what they are?
So we're still working on Ridiculous Fishing for iOS. That's still underway. It has been underway for the past 2 years, but of course that sort of shitty thing we talked about last year happened. We don't want to really talk about that anymore.
Super Crate Box is coming to Vita.
Super Crate Box is coming to PlayStation Vita, and you can play it right there. It's actually one of my favorite versions of Super Crate Box.
Same here.
We're working on Luftrausers. We've got a few. Wait, it's right here.
Any other questions from the audience here before we listen to the Super Crate Box remix?
Yeah, you
Yes,
can.
sir.
We can still answer questions until 3 minutes into the remix, I think.
I have a question. Just so the nuke is like the option for the body for one plane, and is the idea just that other than it being badass and it looks cool, that you get the points from all the ships it explodes afterwards? So does that, would someone find that, after you get far enough into the game, that's not going to be worth what you could be getting with some other body?
Well, the thing is
Does
that.
that make sense?
Oh, wait. So the question was, the nuke is just gives you the points for the enemies you kill. At the end, yeah, that's true. But it kills your combo, so you just get the loose points for them. So it's not worth that much. Just getting one more kill would have probably giving you more.
It's
score.
pretty much a sort of show-off build.
Yeah, it's more like something you do for honor. Like just play with the nuke because you're really cool. Yeah.
There it is, the Super Crate Box remix. Hey, we're running out of time, so I've got one last question, and then you guys are going to be around the rest of the afternoon to keep talking and giving hot tips of how to play Luftrausers the best. But the last question is, will you please come back next year with a cool game to Fantastic Arcade?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Please let us.
We're accepting that as gospel. That's fact. We have all these witnesses. Everybody give it up for Vlambeer, Rami, and JW. Thank you guys so much for doing a sweet commentary. Yeah. Everybody, we're still